Feels like we're so far away, out in the middle of the ocean. Send our love across the sea with the deepest of emotion. We wanna send our prayers to you from so far away, and spread a little aloha across the USA. People, are you listening to what we're about to say? You see, we're on a mission. We're trying to find a way.
There we go.
And me make a guarantee.
Welcome aboard, Casey. How you doing? Can you hear me okay? Good. Where are you and Chris from? Try it again. Indianapolis. Got it.
We can work it out and make this.
Welcome aboard, Chris. Put it right on top of your head and they'll stay by themselves, just like earmuffs. There you go. Elena, Craig, how you guys doing? Where are you folks from? Rhode Island? Okay. We'll get Lawrence and Leslie on board. We'll be on our way here in a little bit. I'm going to switch songs. Here's a good song for folks on their first helicopter ride and nervous flyers like me. I just say that to see if people are paying attention. Yeah, we'll get Lawrence and Leslie here in just a moment. We're going to be on our way.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for me.
There we go. Welcome aboard, Leslie. How you doing? Can you hear me okay? Good. Where are you guys from? Chicago, Windy City. Went through there on a motorcycle one time years ago. I thought I was going to get blown right off the road. Okay, welcome aboard, everyone. Aloha kako means good afternoon in Hawaiian. My name is Curry, just like the spice. First name is Will. We'll be on our way here in a little bit. This song that's playing, you've heard it before. Don't worry, be happy. That having been said, we'll talk about ditching in the water. We're going to be over water for part of the flight. This aircraft is not equipped with emergency flotation devices, so I'll keep plenty of extra altitude. In the highly unlikely event that I have to set the aircraft down on the water, I'll go ahead and do it. I'll stop the rotor blades from turning, and at the appropriate time, I'll ask you, Chris, since you're on the outside, to pull that plastic guard off, and then pull that handle up into the rear. That'll jettison the door. If it doesn't go away, give it a little push, and it will. I'll do the same thing with the door on my side. Once we've done that, I'll tell you when to take your headphones and your seatbelts off, and we'll exit the aircraft. The least confusing way to get out is probably use the same door you used to get in. Now, if for some reason that doesn't seem feasible or possible, please let good judgment be your guide. Get out however you think will work best, but let's keep everybody else in mind. We're all in this together, and we all want to get out together. So no stepping on heads, okay? If you don't remember anything else I say during the entire flight, please remember this.
My phone number. When you're worried, call me. I think you have it.
Now, don't remember that. Do not inflate your vest unless you're safely outside of the aircraft. Once you're safely outside, you'll see there's two handles that hang down when you have the vest on. You pull on those handles, that will inflate the vest. If it fails to inflate, there's a tube on either side that you can blow in, or someone else can, if necessary, to inflate your vest. Any questions now on anything I've said or any portion of the video briefing you got inside? No, I never. Well, I have, but not here in Alaska years and years ago. Blue Hawaiian has been here for thousands of hours, and they've never had to do that. Nobody has that I'm aware of on the Big Island. Well, we'll be ready for it. Any anniversaries or honeymoons? Honeymoon? Yeah. Okay. Anniversaries? No. Okay. Well, here's a song for Casey and Chris on their anniversary. I can't talk to you on the initial climb out, so we'll be over the bay before you hear from me again, or out by the bay. I'm going to go ahead and spool up and get clearance for takeoff. Now, while I'm doing that, I'd like you to check and make sure you know where the buckle is for your seat belt and shoulder harness. It's off to the side. The adjusting mechanism is toward the front. The buckle is on the side. Okay, here we go. Everybody set? Let's go have some fun.
I knew God made you with me in mind. Like the southern breeze through the Georgia pines. God made you with me in mind. Like a country song to Patsy Cline. God made you with me in mind. First time I saw you, honey, I knew you were meant for me, and I was meant for you. On the day I took your hand in mine, I knew God made you with me in mind. Swinging on a vine, like an old jukebox and one thin dime, like a wedding day when the church bells chime. First time I saw you, honey, I knew you were meant for me, and I was meant for you. On the day I took your hand in mine, I knew God made you with me in mind. Yeah, I knew God made you with me in mind.
Okay, I'm back with you, folks. You'll notice out in front of us there's a huge park area. It used to be buildings and businesses until 1960. The reason it's a park now and has been since 1960 has to do with earthquakes in faraway places. I'll share that with you in a little bit. Down below us on the right in the water there, you'll see a bunch of six-man racing outrigger canoes. There's about 600 clubs and over 10,000 members here in Hawaii. They're all getting ready for a big international race in August. It's a big, big deal in Hawaii. It's a lot of fun. Up the coast there to the right front is the Hamakua coast on Leslie and Lawrence and Chris and Casey's side. That's the Hamakua district of the Big Island. Right underneath us at the edge of town is the Wailuku River. Now, if you go up the Hamakua coast, by the way, about 10 or 11 miles out of town, you'll see signs for Akaka Falls. 422 vertical feet. Off to the left, up the Wailuku River, you'll see that large cream-colored building. That's the local hospital. Just this side of the hospital is Rainbow Falls. That one's about 60 or 70 feet tall. Beautiful waterfall. Very accessible also. It's only about 10 minutes from the airport. Now back over on the right side, on Leslie and Lawrence, Chris and Casey's side, there's a double waterfall. I'm going to go ahead and swing around to the right. This Hamakua coast used to be sugarcane. All these open fields you see out in front of us for about 40 miles was nothing but sugarcane. Haven't done it now since mid-1990s, around 96. The last land lease came due, and they didn't renew. They went elsewhere in the world where labor was cheaper, and that was it. Huge economic impact when it collapsed. It was terrible for the island. The state as well. Just starting to recover now. Real estate is just starting to take off again here on the Big Island. On this side, I should say. On the other side, it's been going for a few years. Okay, there's Rainbow Falls coming up on the right. You'll see it in just a moment. Okay, there it is coming into view. Let me bring the nose around a little bit here, give you a better shot at it. There it is. Now you can see the bayfront again, and And right off our nose, you'll see a group of buildings with red roofs. That's the University of Hawaii at Hilo campus. We'll pass just to the right of it, just on the Mauka side. Mauka means toward the high ground. If we went on the other side of it, on the ocean side, we'd be on the Makai side. Makai means toward the beach or toward the shoreline. Now, in 1946, there was an earthquake in Alaska. It spawned a tsunami or tidal wave. That wave ran about 55 feet tall and traveled in excess of 400 miles an hour. It came over 2,300 miles from Alaska in less than 5 hours. Hit the island like the proverbial ton of bricks, killed 159 people, 96 of them in Hilo. And sadly, up the Hamakua coast behind us, there was a place about 30 minutes out of town called La Pahoehoe Point. There was a schoolhouse there. When that wave hit, it killed 16 children and 5 teachers. One of the teachers was swept out to sea by the wave. She was able to cling to floating debris for some 10 hours. She was rescued by a young man in a boat. Things were starting to look up. Just happened to be the young man she had a prearranged date with that night. Things got a whole lot better in a hurry. They enjoyed that date, apparently subsequent dates. They've been married for years. Now, after that wave, that destroyed the railroad. They spent 14 years rebuilding the railroad. They had a dedication ceremony, and 53 days later, along comes the 1960 tidal wave spawned by an earthquake in Chile in South America. Destroys the railroad again. They didn't rebuild after that. Now, that 1960 wave was a smaller wave. It was only about 35 feet tall, but it had a sadder outcome, in my opinion. They had over 12 hours warning that that wave was coming. People went down to the shoreline, some out of curiosity, others to take advantage of an opportunity. When a tidal wave comes toward the shoreline, the water at the shoreline generally recedes before the wave gets there. It left a bunch of fish flopping around back there at the bay. People went down to gather fish. The wave came, rescued the fish, and killed the people. 16 people died. After that wave, they did not rebuild the downtown portion of Hilo Bay again. It's been a memorial park ever since. And again, they did not rebuild the railroad. It was just too expensive to try to do it again. Welcome to the big island of Hawaii, or Hawaii. You'll hear both, but most often you just hear Big Island. It's the largest island, it's the youngest island, and because it's the only one with an active, and by active I mean currently lava-producing volcano, this island is still getting larger. Now look just below us on the right front on Chris and Casey and Leslie and Lauren's side of the aircraft, and you'll see an intersection. The highway we're paralleling is Highway 11. It goes off to the right front and over to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. The one that comes toward us from the intersection down there is Highway 130. We're going to parallel it for a while. You used to be able to go from that intersection left or right, clockwise or counterclockwise, in a huge loop down to the shoreline. Can't do it anymore. I'll show you where there's 8 or 9 miles of nothing but lava that make it impossible. The road is gone. That's the little community of Ka'au down there on the right. That's where my wife and I live. Now some people, let me think, I'll backtrack for just a second. Did I tell you about the Hilo is the wettest city in the United States? Okay. We average 129 inches of rain a year here in Hilo. It's maritime tropical rainforest. And some years we'll get 300 inches. If we flew 30 minutes west from Hilo up over the top of the island, we would be on the far side of the island, and we would experience 4 to 9 inches of rain a year because it's maritime tropical desert on that side, just that short a distance. Now this is the Big Island, and it's still getting larger. We're the only one with an active, and by active I mean currently lava-producing volcano, so we're not finished growing yet. Already large enough to encounter every major climate zone that you'd find anywhere on Earth, with the exception of Arctic and subarctic. But there is evidence on Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, the two tallest volcanoes on the island, of past periods of glaciation. Now, as we fly along here, you're going to see on the left and the right what looks like little cemeteries. Little rows of tombstones. Well, they aren't cemeteries, and they're not tombstones. They're little miniature A-frames. And underneath those A-frames are roosters. They're called gamecocks. They're fighting roosters. Now, they don't fight them or bet on them here. That's against the law. They haven't been doing it for over 100 years. There's places all around the island where they don't do that. And they won't be doing that for another 100 years at least, I'm sure. Had a lady a while ago looked at me and said, well, what do they do with them, Will? And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't tell you. It's against the law. Bless her heart, I think she finally got it. You'd be hard-pressed to find a neighborhood, upscale, downscale, mid-scale neighborhood, in town or out of town, at least in this part of the island, where you wouldn't have at least one neighbor within earshot, like the 2, 3 of them down there, raising gamecocks in his or her front yard, backyard, side yard, sometimes all the way around the house. Just gets to be white noise after a while. You don't even hear them anymore. It's just part of living here. Not a big deal. Now this island, some people think Oahu is the big island rather than this one. I suspect because Honolulu is situated on Oahu. Honolulu is the largest city in the state. I'm going to give you some population figures. They are not written in stone. They fluctuate constantly, or perhaps I should say lava rock, considering where we are. Honolulu is the largest city in the state. It is the current and will probably always be the capital. Its population is about 800,000. Now, as you come toward the center of the back to the big island here, well, the island of Oahu. We'll stay over there for just a moment. That's about 1.2 million. Now, when you come back to the big island, we're at about 140,000 here on the big island. And Hilo, is the largest city on this island and the second largest city in the state and the former capital. It's between 50 and 60,000. But Oahu is nowhere near the size of the Big Island. It's about 1/8 as large. That's a silhouette of the Big Island with the other islands in the state superimposed inside it. Top center is Oahu. That one is about 1/8 as large. That's the one that has Honolulu. Oahu's about 1/8. And you see, you can put the other 7 islands in the state and have room, or in this big island, and have room left over. It's that much larger. The island, all of the islands are volcanic in origin. This one is made up of 5 volcanoes. At the north end of the island is the Kohala volcano. Hasn't erupted in 60 or 70,000 years, so it's considered to be extinct. Now, as you come south toward the center of the island, you'll see Mauna Kea. That's the tallest volcano on the island. The summit is 13,796 feet above sea level. Because we're surrounded in every direction by 18,000 feet of water, the base is 18,000 feet below sea level. That puts Mauna Kea 2,980 feet taller than that paleo Mount Everest that everybody talks about. It's the tallest volcano on the island, the tallest mountain on Earth. The name means White Mountain. We get snow there in the wintertime. Now, sometimes on a weekend or a holiday when there's a good accumulation of snow at the Keiki, K-E-I-K-I, the kids or children are out of school, you'll see upwards of 600 cars up there in a single day. Folks will drive up there just out of curiosity to see the snow. Sorry, got interrupted by a radio call there. As I said, you'll see upwards of 600 cars up there in a single day. Folks will drive up there out of curiosity to see the snow. Then you see skiers and snowboarders. We actually do that here on the Big Island. There's no lift or anything organized. We use 4-wheel drive vehicles and shuttle each other up and down about a 300-yard stretch of the hill that's actually used. And that's pretty extraordinary when you figure we're 2,200 miles from the Marin Headlands in San Francisco, we're 3,000 miles from Alaska, and about 3,600 miles from Japan, and yet you can enjoy winter sports. And then within a few miles and a few minutes, you're right back on the beach again. enjoying the sunshine in the tropics. Water skiing, scuba diving, snorkeling, kayaking, surfing, deep sea fishing. Some of the best deep sea fishing in the world is right here around the Big Island. Over the 4th of July weekend last year, they had the firecracker fishing tournament, and somebody caught a 1,258.5-pound blue marlin. They catch them over here over 1,400 pounds. Mauna Kea hasn't erupted in about 3,600 years, so it's considered to be a dormant volcano. It's not dead, it's just sleeping, if you will. Now, as you come south from there, you're still kind of in the center of the island. You'll see Mauna Loa. It means long mountain, 60 or 70 miles long and about 40 miles wide. Second tallest volcano on the island. Second tallest mountain on Earth. If you drained all of the oceans on the entire planet, the most prominent feature on Earth would be the Hawaiian Islands because of the height of the volcanoes here in Hawaii. In addition to being the second tallest mountain on Earth, Mauna Kea is the largest land mass mountain on Earth. It's 16,000 cubic miles of material in that one volcanic mountain. It makes up 40% of this entire island. You could take the portions of the Sierra Nevada and the Appalachian mountain ranges that are in the continental United States and put them inside Mauna Loa and have room left over. That's how large that volcano is. We're into lava fields now, and you'll see off to the right there and off to the left and all around us over on Craig and Elena's side, you see some little ones. Islands of trees and vegetation. They're called kipukas. Each one of those kipukas will develop its own mini ecosystem as time goes by because they're isolated from everything around them by the lava flows. Now, Mauna Loa has had a good many volcanic eruptions over the years. The most recent one, 1984, flowed for 22 days straight, got within 4 miles of the outskirts of Hilo, and then the flow stopped. Prior to that, 1942, 1935, 1899, 1880 and 81, the flow went right over the top of poor old Hilo. 1859, it went the other way down the western flank of the volcano, all the way to the western shoreline of the island and to the ocean. And then it went in 1843. It's currently doing what they call expanding or inflating. It's filling up with magma, molten rock. Molten rock below the surface is magma. When it comes to the surface and becomes visible, then it's called lava. That's what you see out here all around us now, thousands of acres of lava. Mauna Loa is going to erupt again. The experts tell us we could get as little as 3 hours warning prior to the next eruption, so you folks might see it. Somebody's going to be here visiting. Nobody knows who, because nobody knows exactly when it's going to happen. Now, left and right on Elena and Craig's side, then back over on Chris and Casey and Leslie and Lauren's side, you'll see yellow or orangish discoloration. Sulfur is one of the minerals present in lava. When it winds up on the surface, it discolors it. You'll also see holes in the surface here and there. It's sections of the roof or ceiling of lava tubes that have collapsed over the years. There's no lava in there, so you don't see anything. They're called skylights. Here's some volcano-appropriate music, since we're out here in the lava fields. Two types of lava. You're seeing the dark brown little patches of lava here and there. That's lava. Comes out of the ground between 1,000 and 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Moves very slowly. It just kind of rolls and tumbles along. It's not in any big hurry to go anywhere. Hardens all rough and cobbly, has chunks of big rocks mixed in. Now, the vast majority of what you see out here all around us is Pahoehoe lava. That comes out of the ground. It's different shades of gray, by the way. Comes out of the ground between 2,000 and 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. It moves much faster. It comes out of the ground about the consistency of motor oil. And it moves very, very rapidly. Any slope at all, it'll go 20 or 30 miles an hour. Steeper the slope, that's what I'm looking for, right in front of us, a big old orange skylight. Steeper the slope, the faster it'll go. Okay, let's see. I'm going to put it on the left side first. It'll go 50 miles an hour if there's enough slope. You're looking through an opening at the surface there, skylight, at magma flowing inside a lava tube. That guy's getting a lot bigger than it was earlier. Ooh, much bigger. That's an inferno. Okay, I'm going to come around to the right. When I talk on the radio, you won't hear anything. You just hear my lips move. And there's another lady named Joyce bringing a helicopter in right now, and I was just letting her know this skylight had gotten larger in case she wants to come over and look at it. I try to be nice and help each other out. There you go. Now you can see it on Leslie and Lawrence and Chris and Casey's side. That is an absolute inferno. It's way over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit down there. Ooh, you might even be able to see the movement. Man, oh man, that's cool. I don't know where I'm gonna go when the volcano blows. One more now, I don't know. Okay, let's see now. The Pahoehoe lava, the different shades of gray, comes out hotter, moves faster, is much more dangerous in my opinion. Not because 2,000 degree lava is going to whack you worse than 1,200 degree lava, that's kind of a push. But it moves so much faster that if you get careless or foolish in the vicinity of Pahoehoe lava, you can get yourself in a world of hurt. You can literally get in a situation that you cannot get out of without perhaps a friend with a helicopter. Now, we got some trees burning down here earlier. Yep, looks like they still are. We'll show you that. It's just down over the edge of what we call a pali. A steep drop-off or a cliff in Hawaii is a pali, P-A-L-I. And this is called Palama Pali. It's kind of a mid-pali, if you will. Now, coming up on the right front, we'll get it on both sides, but initially it'll be on Leslie and Lawrence, Chris and Casey's side. You'll see some trees burning, and you'll see some nice lava flows on the surface. When the pressure builds below the surface, it pushes the magma, the molten rock, to the surface and causes lava flows. Now here's one. You see that bright orange ribbon? And then right on both sides it's dark brown, and under the brown you can still see some orange. That is an lava flow. It's moving very slowly. You could walk in front of that one and stay ahead of it as long as you didn't trip and fall. Now, if it were Pahoehoe lava, it would be coming down slope a whole bunch faster. Great flow. In fact, just upslope from it, there are some Pahoehoe flows. They're just the shiny orange, and then they turn to gray. And we'll go up here a little bit. You can see it's burning the trees away. This used to all be rainforest out here. And you can feel the heat now. That's cool. There's some nice little flows. We'll come back around to the left. As I come around, you're going to notice acres and acres of trees out. It's a little hard to see because what kills these trees is sulfur dioxide gas, and that's what this big old cloud is out here now, is sulfur dioxide gas. It's what we call VOG, V-O-G. It comes out of a place called the Pu'uo'o vent that unfortunately was up there in the clouds. I couldn't take you to it because of the clouds. It puts out between 1,500 and 2,000 tons of sulfur dioxide each and every 24-hour period. And when the wind blows in the direction it's blowing now, it takes it down over the trees, and it kills the trees over the years. They suffocate in that sulfur dioxide gas. Okay, now we're going to swing around this whole site here and let Craig and Elena get a nice look at it and get some photos. Where you see gas venting from below the surface, that indicates magma below the surface in lava tubes, but it doesn't have enough pressure to push it to the surface in the form of lava flows. So it just pushes the gas. But when you see the gas, you know there's magma. Okay, everybody get a good look? Okie doke. Yeah, we'll head down slope. How's everybody doing with all the turns? Elena, Craig, Lawrence, Leslie, you guys doing okay? Good. Looks like Chris and Casey are about the same color they were when we took off. That's a good sign. As we fly down now, you're going to see lots more of these kipukas, islands of trees and vegetation. They're all over the place. One of the things you guys want to do while you're here, absolute must, is go to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. You go out of the airport to the intersection, take a left, go about 30 miles, and that takes you to the park. Just follow the signs. You can't miss it. $7 per vehicle. It's good for a week if you want to go more than one day. There's a visitor center, there's a museum, there's hiking trails, go in and out of the lava, and in and out of the rainforest, in and out of old extinct lava tubes, or correction, craters, volcanic craters. And then there is a lava tube, a section of one called Thurston Tube. And you can that's the helicopter I was talking to. A lady named Joyce flies that one. She's the only lady helicopter on the island, I think. It's the only one I know anyway. The Thurston Tube is lit up. There's no lava in there, so you can walk through it. That's a black sand beach down there. You probably have never seen that before. Lava flows into contact with the ocean from time to time. It cools so rapidly that it fractures. It just explodes in tiny little fragments. They wash up on the shores, black sand beaches. Now, we've got a tremendous amount of this haze out here now, fog. If we were back on the mainland where there was a lot of industry or automotive pollution, you get what we call smog. But here we call it fog because it's volcanic in origin. There's what you call the West Road closure. That's where the road ends at the lava field down there on our right. You drive down from the park on Chain of Craters Road, and then you have to park your car. You'll see where they park just off here to the right front. And you walk about the last half a mile. You can walk right out into the lava field. Now, if we went straight ahead about 35 miles, we'd be at the south tip or south point here on the island. Further south point in the Hawaiian Islands, and since Hawaii became a state in 1959, it's been the furthest south point in the United States as well. Now, I'm going to come out around to the right, and we'll give Craig and Elena a look at the West Road closure in the lava field. Can't see the vent right now because of the clouds being down low. It's been going since 1983, 3rd of January of 1983. Non-stops. Put out over 200 billion cubic yards of magma over the years. You can see people walking out into the lava field there. Thousands of people do that every year, single file. They actually wear trails or paths into the lava because there's so many people that do it. Now, if you don't take advantage of the opportunity to do that while you're here, I would strongly suggest that you stop at Niagara Falls on the way home. But don't go see the waterfall. Just grab a quick cup of coffee or a Coca-Cola. That's how cool the lava is. You'll see a rope. Just above, there's a little cliff there. Again, a cliff is called a pali, also in Hawaii. The cliff is the original shoreline. Everything on this side of the shoreline, or the cliff, is new island as a result of lava flows over the years. There's benches or shelves. It's very unstable. There's not a lot of base underneath the lava, and the constant wave action breaks it up. It collapses into small boulders or rocks and larger boulders, rolls off into the ocean. Park Service puts that rope down there with warning signs. They don't do it to ruin people's fun. They do it to keep people off these shelves and benches. In April of 1993, a half-acre one of those benches disappeared. In December of 1996, a 27-acre bench disappeared. Right into the ocean it went. Nobody on the 27-acre one, but that half-acre one in 93, there was a man walking around. They never found him. Off to the right, front there, you see a bench. Now look at the next one up the shoreline, and look at the huge chunk that's missing out of it. That's what I mean. That constant wave action beats on those benches and just tears them up. The largest kipuka out here is right off our nose. That huge section of grass and trees out there is what remains of Royal Garden subdivision. It used to go all the way down to the shoreline. They tried to bulldoze the road back several times years ago. Everybody, the lava kept flowing, ruined their efforts, and everybody gave up and left except one guy. I'll show you his house. It's called the We call it Jack's place because Jack owns it. He calls it the Red Roof Lava Club. It is a bed and breakfast. Oh, there's a song you might recognize. That's the theme song from Hawaii Five-0. Now, as we get closer here, you're going to see streets that end in lava. You're going to see homes that are abandoned. You'll see automobiles scattered around. And the first one you see up the slope from us on the left with the red roof there is Jack's. Look down slope and to the left you see light green trees, and then in the lava you see a patch of dark brown lava. That's just like what we saw active back behind us. A little over a year ago that was an active flow. And you could take a picture from here and get the active lava flow and Jack's all in the same frame. Jack has spent many a night down there with his whole house lit up from the glow of the lava. It's gotten that close to him, but it hasn't got him yet. He's lived down here in Royal Garden since 1972. He originally had a home over here in front of us. He sold it when he finished building this house on our left and moved into the big house, and just shortly after that the lava started flowing. And he lost eventually all of his neighbors. He's the only guy that lives here. He goes out over the lava field off to our right on a motorcycle. Takes him an hour to get to the end of the road right over there. You see that little road that comes out and then there's a turnaround? That's called the East Road Closure. Takes Jack an hour to get there. Once he gets to the hardball, it takes him another half an hour to get to Pahoa, where he does his shopping once a week. Off our nose, stretch of lava went all the way over the top of the community of Kalapana in 1992 and took out 189 homes. You can see new road they've punched there with bulldozers recently. They're going to put in new housing. Okay, now right off our nose is that turnaround there, the East Road Closure. It'll be on the left in a moment. As you look back into the trees, two-lane paved road, but everything where there's lava is just lava road. There's some folks that actually live in vehicles right down there at the edge of the trees. There's about 5 vehicles. You see the blue tarping over one of them. I think their homes were probably destroyed by the lava years ago. They couldn't afford to rebuild. They just moved into their vehicles, and that's where they live. From the East Road Closure behind us to the West Road Closure off our nose is about 8 or 9 miles. And this is that stretch that I said keeps you from going clockwise or counterclockwise from that intersection back toward Hilo, where Highway 130 and Highway 11 meet. Can't do it anymore. The road stopped right behind us or right in front of us, whichever way you want to look at it. Both, actually. 544 acres of new island out here as a result of the lava flows over the years. Now we're going to head back up toward Jack's again, and we'll give Chris and Casey and Leslie and Lawrence a look at it. Over 200 homes destroyed by between 1986 and 1992 by lava flows out here. No deaths. Last death on the Big Island directly attributable to a volcanic eruption was in 1924. A photographer that wanted to take a photograph of the Kilauea volcano erupting was killed by falling rocks and hot mud. In 1790, there was a huge pyroclastic eruption of the Kilauea volcano. Pressure built and built until it blew the top right off the volcano. That one killed 80 Hawaiians, mostly warriors, some wives and children. Here's Jack's coming up on the right. You okay? You trying to loosen it, or? Okay. Now, if I were Jack living down there, I'd want a really good, preferably an insomniac lava dog. Now I got you up there. I'm coming up on Jack's at 1.7. I'd want a really good, preferably an insomniac lava dog if I was going to live down there day in and day out. No need for a bear dog. No bears down there to worry about. He's overrun with wild boar now because this is not that large an area, but it's completely isolated. They don't have any natural enemies. They keep multiplying, and they just drive him nuts. They get in his yard. He used to mow a whole bunch of that area out there. It looked like a park, but he finally gave up. The pigs are just ruining it. They root everything up and make a big mess. On the left over here on Craig and Elena's side, there's streets that end in lava way up here. And then coming up on the right front, back over on Chris and Casey and Leslie and Lawrence side, you'll see a little shed with a red roof. We call it the red roof. I call it Murphy's Law of Lava Flows. The big white house that was 50 feet away is long gone, gobbled up by the lava years ago. First thing that comes back out here after the lava flows in 3 or 4 months is lichens and hapu ferns. Hapu fern you'll see back at the airport. The new growth has been over like a fiddlehead. It's all covered with reddish-brown fuzz. Out here it's 40 feet high. They used to harvest that fuzz and export it in the old days as stuffing for pillows and mattresses. It is the edible part. That's the tenderest part of the fern. Takes a lot of boiling and rinsing. Not sure exactly what the recipe calls for, but here in Hawaii, you can pretty well rest assured there's going to be at least one variation on that recipe that incorporates Spam. Spam is hugely popular here in Hawaii. It's been around for years. It celebrated its 67th anniversary on the 5th of last month. After World War II ended, the Navy had tons and tons of that Spam stockpiled in Honolulu. They surplused it out after the war ended. The majority of it was bought up by the wealthy sugarcane plantation owners, and they fed it to their workers, folks that immigrated from all over the world to work in the cane industry, to raise cane, in other words. Now, folks like yourselves come from all over the world still to Hawaii to raise cane, but it's not sugar cane these days, at least not on this island. If you want to see how popular Spam is, just go to any McDonald's in the island and look at the breakfast menu. High on the list of favorites is Spam, rice, and eggs, any McDonald's you go to. Now, coming up on the left, you're going to see some partial, looks like tree stumps. It's actually vertical columns of lava. The lava flowed into the rainforest years ago, and it molded itself around the larger trees. They rotted away and decomposed, and it left what looked like tree stumps down there on the left front. We call it the lava trees. As a result of Spam getting more and more popular over the years, we now consume more Spam here in Hawaii than they do anywhere else on Earth. Because of that, the folks that manufacture it in Minnesota just recently released that limited collector's edition label for Spam. It's only available here in Hawaii, and it's only available here for a limited time. You can still find it in the grocery sales. I got some for a friend of mine. We had friends from California stay with us last week, and I got him a can just for grins from Walmart. So it is still available. Off to the right here is there's a pond. It's called the Forest Geothermal. They were going to put a geothermal energy production facility there. They backed away because of encroaching lava. Now, if you look straight out in the distance to the right front, you got this first clearing, not that one. The next one out, there's tree-covered hills and a clearing. To the right of the clearing in the hills is the Pohoiki Geothermal. You may be able to see it a little better when we get closer. They are producing electricity over there using geothermal energy. They started years ago with a 4,000-foot hole, more recently added a 7,000-foot hole. They extract superheated water from below the surface. That water rises toward the surface. It's heated, by the way, by the rock at those levels, which is heated by the magma below it. It rises toward the surface. When the pressure reduces sufficiently, it does what they call flashover and becomes steam. They run it through scrubbers and separators to get rid of the minerals and the moisture, and then they direct it toward high-speed turbine blades, which turn generators and give us electricity. It's all about hot water. Water at the surface boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. If you go to 1,000 feet below the surface, because of the immense pressure that's exerted on that water, it boils at 450 degrees. Go to 5,000 feet, it boils, or excuse me, 1,000 feet, it boils to 400, yeah, I'm doing it twice, excuse me. At 1,000 feet, it boils at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. At 5,000 feet, it boils at 600 degrees Fahrenheit. And at 10,000 feet below the surface, water boils at 1,110 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything 350 degrees or hotter, and you are good to go for flash steam technology. They have the capability over there. Now, if you look to the right of the community of Pahoa, and then straight out, you see the clearing, and to the right-hand edge of the clearing is the facility. They can produce 35 megawatts of electricity over there using geothermal energy. If you were to do that for a year using oil, it would require 490,000 barrels of oil, almost 500,000 barrels a year to get that much energy. So economically speaking, it's a slam dunk. Ecologically speaking, look out there, you can't see any evidence whatsoever of it being in production, and yet it is. Everything that comes from below the surface stays completely closed loop, never sees the light of day. They extract the heat energy from it, and then they pump the byproduct back underground through replacement or reinjection holes in the form of briny water. And it's essentially an infinitely renewable resource because they don't disturb the magma at all. They just tap into the heat energy produced by it. If you drilled for oil successfully, you could get fabulously wealthy. If you were to drill for magma successfully, you'd just die because you didn't cork a volcano. They don't do that. Off to the right, acres and acres and acres of what we call shade cloth, the dark gray and black. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. I got to make some radio calls and get some pre-landing instructions, and I'll be back with you shortly. Kilo approach, Blue 24 is coming up number 2 on the NDB with whiskey, shotgun inside. East around here. Okay, I'm back with you now. If we went the other way on this highway, this is Highway 130, we would wind up at the end of the road back there by Jack's in the lava field. Either side now, you'll see shade cloth, and you'll see, well, this is the same way we came on the way out, and you'll see what it looks like. Ooh, here's something neat. Look down here on the left. This is new. You see the yellow and blue striped house that looks like a circus tent? Just right straight down there? Well, that's not a circus tent. I'm going to come around to the right because I want you guys to see this too. It's kind of fun. Well, it's not fun, but it's a real pain in the rear if you live here. They have the house tented, and they're treating it for termites. You'll see the tent there in a moment. Straight out to the right now. See it? Look to the road just to the left of it. Right straight out. Just look for blue and yellow tenting. See it? Just a house in amongst all the other houses, but it has a blue and yellow tent over it. You got it? Okay, you're trying too hard. Look left, I think. Just right down, just right straight out. There you go, okay. They're treating it for termites. Now I'll come back around and give Elena and Craig a chance to get pictures too, if you like. You have to do it every few months or they will literally devour your home. I've seen at least one house here in Hilo, an older house, but it just collapsed. There's two types of termites. There's airborne termites. They fly, and they will attack plywood and cabinetry and stuff like that, easy wood, soft woods. But the ones that come up from below the ground, those are the ones that will literally destroy your house, and that's what they're trying to do there, keep it from happening. It's probably costing them, I'd guess, $2,500, $3,000, and you got to do it every few years or you lose the house. Okay, now underneath the shade cloth, they're growing cut flowers. Major player there is anthurium, the one you see on the counter at Blue Hawaiian Helicopters. Looks like it's made out of plastic. $22 million a year, give or take, on the Big Island, just in anthurium alone. In addition to that, heliconia, plumeria, bird of paradise, carnations, orchids, roses, ginger. One of the varieties of orchids came from Mexico years ago. It's the one they extract vanilla from. It's a long, time-consuming process. They get vanilla worth $1,200 a pound from that particular orchid. Over 90% of what Federal Express flies off this island on their big jets, they had an MD-11 in this morning, and I'm sure it went out with well over 100,000 pounds of flowers. They take them all over the world now. Huge industry. Off to the left, Orchid Land, subdivision of Hilo. Off below us and to the right, all around, is Hawaiian Paradise Park, another subdivision. If you look in the backyards of homes as we fly by, you'll see above and occasionally in-ground swimming pools, but in each and every backyard you're going to see water storage tanks. These folks do not have access to domestic water. They provide their own with a method called catchment. They literally catch the rainwater that runs off the metal roofs of their homes. They run it off into those storage tanks in the backyard, and then they pump it inside later for use. They do the same thing in the Pacific Northwest and in southeast Alaska, where I used to live. And it works real well because we get so much rain. The downside is if they get heavy metal contamination from the constant rainfall leaching lead out of the nails or the paint that was used in the old days, or even out of the solder on the metal flashing, they have to buy very expensive filtration systems. The alternative is to buy bottled water or acquire their drinking water from some other source. One of the sources I get a kick out of is behind us on the road back there. There's a big sign that says emergency water for domestic use only, not for resale, 1-gallon containers maximum. Drive by, you see people washing their cars, you see them filling 50, 100, 150-gallon containers in the back of their pickup trucks. Nobody cares, because as you can see, we get plenty of rain in Gila. There's no shortage. So it's a good method. Now, Chris, Casey, Leslie, Lawrence, Craig, and Elena, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for flying with us. I hope I was able to meet or exceed your expectations. That's always my goal, and the goal of Blue Hawaiian Helicopters to do. Later on, when you're sharing the experience with others, we'd really appreciate it if you'd do us just one favor. Mention us by name. We are Blue Hawaiian Helicopters. We fly to the airport here at Hilo. We fly out of the helipad at Waikolo on the west side of the Big Island, and we fly out of the Kahalui helipad at the airport on the island of Maui. Coming up right underneath us in a moment looks like miniature palm trees. It's actually banana trees. Several varieties grown here commercially, and lots of folks like my wife and I have them in our backyard. Stuff grows good over here, all kinds of fruits. Lots of different things. You can find them at the farmer's market downtown. You'll find some things you probably don't find on the mainland. Now here's some interesting trees. The tall ones are Norfolk pine trees. They were brought by the early trading ships that came to the island back around the 1800s. They wanted replacement masts for those trees, or excuse me, ships in the event they encountered storm damage, so they brought the Norfolk pine. Now the small trees, they're using them as windbreaks here. The small trees are the cool ones. These are macadamia nut trees. They came from Australia back around the 1800s. That's the headquarters and manufacturing facility off there to the right front for the Mauna Loa macadamia nut plantation. Now, these trees, they came from Australia, and it's a huge industry now. As you look down, you'll see different shades of foliage. It indicates different degrees of maturity on the trees and the crop. Now, it's kind of hard this afternoon because we don't have much light. But if you look down, you'll see occasionally scattered around, there's brown macnut trees. Now, here's a question for Casey and Leslie and Elena. What do you suppose the occasional brown macadamia nut trees are? There's one just immediately below us on the left. Those are chocolate covered. I don't ask the guys because they look down and go, yeah, those are dead. Well, that's no fun. Not as much fun as chocolate covered. You ladies know that. On the left, speaking of fun, there's a drag strip. Has a dirt track and a go-kart track in conjunction with it. Great fun, except we get rained out a lot. $7 a day, though. It's huge entertainment for $7 a day in Hawaii. Now, I'm going to put on a pre-landing briefing in just a bit here. It means I can't talk to you again until we get on the ground, except for safety-related items. Before we do that, here's a couple of quick suggestions. While you're here, see if you can find a product called Mele Max, M-E-L-E-M-A-C-S. M-E-L-E means happy or merry in Hawaiian. Max is short for macadamia nuts. It's macadamia nuts covered with toffee, covered with milk chocolate, and then covered with powdered sugar. They are absolutely delicious. You can find them at Walmart or the grocery stores. Buy the 2 1/4 pound container right off the bat. That'll save you a trip back tomorrow. That's how good they are. And if you eat them while you're on vacation, especially on a honeymoon, they don't have any calories.
Aloha home mai kako. Pehea mai me o ko. We hope that you have enjoyed your flight. Soon we will be landing. Please check around your seats for any loose articles. We find camera cases, film, and sunglasses on the aircraft all the time. Do keep your seatbelts fastened until we land. If you are getting a videotape, remember to rewind the tape when you get home. Everything that the pilot says is on the tape. The music is on the tape, and you are on the tape. People send the tapes back frequently without rewinding them. When we land, your host or hostess will assist you when you exit the aircraft. If you have any loose articles, hang on to them. And if they blow to the rear of this or any other helicopter, please leave them alone and we will get them for you. Do not go towards the rear of this aircraft. Please take a moment to sign our guest book.
If you would, folks, for safety reasons, when I touch down, keep your headphones and seatbelts on until I tell you to take them off. Mahalo.
Sign our guest book in the office and let us know what you think of your flight and your pilot. Now go get sunburned and have some Mai Tais. Mahalo nui for choosing Blue Hawaiian Helicopters.
There we go. Hui ho until we meet again. Malama pono. Take care. And you can take your, well, let's see, hang on just a moment. They'll come over and open the doors for you. When you get out, if you would, go forward to where you see the white painted lines and wait there. Whatever you do, don't go near the tail of the aircraft. The tail rotor's back there, and it's very dangerous. Okay, folks, you can take your seatbelts off, but if you would, wait on the headphones, and they'll help you off with those. You kind of got yourself tangled.